Nick Fuentes comments on the Tim Pool Jake Shields Twitter fight. Now, many of you may be saying, what is this all about, Tim, and why are you engaging in online drama? Well, I actually think this one's interesting, and it pertains to the bigger picture of censorship, free speech, what's going on with Israel, and I do think what we're seeing here matters for the most part in terms of how we solve problems politically, mostly due to censorship. And I think the big question here is, why is it so difficult to host people like Nick Fuentes and people like Jake Shields? And, of course, responding to the insinuations and accusations against Timcast IRL. So we'll get into the weeds of the drama. But again, to reiterate, I believe the weeds of the drama explain an issue with censorship that will be enlightening to many people as it pertains to podcasting and YouTube. And I will also say, I think it is for these reasons, Timcast IRL and Timcast are, sort of just in the bubble that they are. The corporate press and the mainstream is much more willing to support you if you flat out endorse particular worldviews. And if you're open and honest about what's going on and entertain ideas that are bad, you will be harmed by it. But let's start with this clip from Nick, and then we will break down what's currently going on. And I'll give you the quick gist before we do. This has to do with an attempt to book a guest, an MMA fighter named Jake Shields, and ultimately his demand that if he does come on, he would only do it if Nick Fuentes came on as well. Let me play this clip for you from Nick Fuentes, then I'll show you what Jake Shields says, and then I will break down the issue of censorship, particularly pertaining to Nick Fuentes and in general. So I think this will be this could be enlightening for many people.
Also, thoughts on the Tim Pool versus Jake Shield panel stuff?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Tim Pool's just like a total joke. Tim Pool invited Jake Shields and said, you can bring anybody you want. And Jake...
False! I did not invite Jake Shields. I don't do booking for Timcast IRL, nor did I ever say to anyone, bring whoever you want.
Shields said, I'll bring Nick Fuentes. Then Tim Pool said, oh, we have to debate people. And we gave them names. They're like, no, not that one. No, not that one.
Lie.
Oh, no one will do it. And then they just ghosted Jake Shields.
All right. I'm willing to go full bore on this one as to what I know for the sake of Nick and ghosting Jake Shields. Let me play a little bit more.
So those people are always playing games. I'm so sick of playing games. Bring us on the show. Don't bring us on the show. I don't give a fuck. The show sucks anyway. Bring us on, don't bring us on, but stop playing games and lying. Oh, well, we can't have you on because, you keep asking to come. We won't bring you on because your followers ask. We won't bring you on because no one will debate. Do it or don't do it and shut the fuck up. Stop with the games. But you know what it is? They don't want to admit that they have sold out. They will not bring me on because they are terrified of being censored.
That's correct.
Just say it. Everyone knows it. They keep making up countless excuses. We can't bring them on for this reason. We can't bring them on for that reason. Everyone knows they're afraid of losing their channel. Fine, just say that. You're not a free speech platform.
That's exactly what we told Jake Shields. So let's go back and I'll play a little bit and then we'll break it down for you.
Do it, and then they just ghosted Jake Shields.
Didn't ghost Jake Shields. He texted me like a week ago. I don't know. I was just in Mar-a-Lago. I'm running a business. I record 16 hours a day. It's absolutely remarkable where it's just like, you have these people and it's so rough. It's so rough, right? You try to give everyone you can the time of day. Okay. I got 2 million followers on X. I don't even look at mentions anymore. I can't even respond to people for the most part. Sometimes I might pop in, but usually I don't. And on this channel, it's like 1.2 or whatever million. IRL's 1.6 million. The Culture War is 1.3 million. And our podcast is another 1.3 million, the podcast platform. And these are overlapping but largely different audiences. We track this through unique viewership. And certainly not the biggest show. We average the largest live audience, but it's impossible for me to deal with literally everybody who I'm trying to talk to. And I actually told Jake Shields, text me like once a week because I'm busy. But let's play more.
So those people are always playing games. I'm so sick of playing games. Bring us on the show. Don't bring us on the show. I don't give a fuck. The show sucks anyway.
Oh, sour grapes now, huh, Nick?
Bring us on. Don't bring us on. But stop playing games and lying. oh, well, we can't have you on because, well, you keep asking to come. We won't bring you on because your followers ask. We won't bring you on because no one will debate. Do it or don't do it and shut the fuck up.
So let's break this down. Let me tell you the story. We'll start with a tweet here from Jake Shields. He says, Tim Pool is such a joke of a man with no principles. Last month, he told me he told me he would let have and Nick Fuentes on to debate Israel. Later, he called and said he didn't feel equipped to debate and needed to find multiple Zionists for the panel. False! I don't debate Zionism. The Culture War show, when it is a debate, is, as anybody knows who's watched it, two different people. For instance, maybe you watched last week's episode on abortion, where we had a pro-choice pastor and a pro-life activist. And of course, because of the disparity between, like the moderate position and the leftist position, certainly I had many questions for the pro-choice guy, but I certainly had questions for the pro-left individual as well. And many people pointed out when we had Vosh and Charlie Kirk on Timcast IRL, again, I moderated. There are certain things where I may debate someone. We did have an episode of Vosh where we debated. And my position being like classically or traditionally liberal versus their progressive position is when we debate it. However, let me tell you what happened. Actually, let me finish his tweet for him. He says, I called him back last week to see what he wanted to do, and he ignored my calls. Eventually, he had his employee tell me that he changed his mind. Personally, I believe a man should always keep his word, and if he doesn't, at least have the balls to talk to who you lied to. These are our brave right-wing influencers. I wonder why Nick Fuentes didn't want to mention Laura Loomer. I wonder why Jake and Nick did not mention Laura Loomer. I like Laura. I think she's fierce. I think she's the biggest Trump supporter imaginable and possibly the tip of the spear of all spears, one of the most effective at getting PR. Really, wow. And so considering Laura is Jewish and I believe, I don't want to put words in her mouth, a Zionist, we said, this would be the biggest show ever. Let's do it. Laura said no. I'm like, okay, sorry, Laura, to bring your name up, but if this is the game they're going to play and they don't want to mention the show we tried to organize, with all due respect, maybe Laura's unable to do it for whatever reason. Those are her reasons. I don't do booking. I don't know. Maybe Laura, I don't know. I can tell you this. Cassandra Fairbanks does booking for Timcast IRL. I don't. I often don't know who the guests are. We have a guest roster and names pop up and I say, oh, cool. Lisa Reynolds books guests for the Culture War. Lisa Reynolds tried to book Jake Shields months ago. We reached out trying to get him on the show. He didn't want to do it. I don't know why. I don't do booking. So I'll tell you what happens. I get a message from Cassandra saying, I reached out to Jake Shields to have him on the show. He says he'll only do it if we allow Nick Fuentes on. What do you think? And I was like, oh, here we go. Because I know exactly what's going to happen. You can't just have Nick Fuentes on your show. Nick knows this. Jake Shields knows this. I don't know what their game is. So here's what I said. Okay, there's a way you can do it. So I said, let me call Jake Shields. DM'd him, hit him up. And I basically told him, you want to come in and talk about the Jews, right? Oh, he says Israel? No. Let me show you. When he says you lie like a Jew on his Twitter account, there it is right on the screen for you. He's not talking about coming on and debating Israel, okay? And so I get on the phone with him and I said, if you want to talk about Jews and Israel, we will be banned, okay? Like if you come on, you and Nick, and all you do is start saying things like you lie like a Jew, we'll get banned. Now, in their crackpot, brain-melted world, they think it's because Jews are out to get them. In reality, there is a ban on all hate speech. You can't say that of Muslims. You can't say that of trans people, of gay people. In fact, Facebook actually started banning people, women, feminists, for putting hashtag kill all men. Not that I think typically they will ban people who are racist towards white people, but it's not just because Israel is controlling everything. Oh, the boogeyman's coming to get you. They banned Islamophobia. They banned saying the name of a CIA guy. So the long story short of it is, if I call him on the phone and I'm like, we could do a really big show. I talked to like our people, like Cassandra, she does booking, and I talked to some other individuals who like do production. We all agree it could be the biggest show ever, but it has to be a debate, otherwise we get banned, right? You can't, you don't just come on the show and then start saying things like you lie like a Jew. Okay, that's like you get banned for that. If you said you lie like a black person or whatever, you get banned for those things too. But a debate we could do. Typically, YouTube's rules pertaining to censorship have to do with if there's pushback or not. So, although the rules are nebulous and they'll ban you, whatever you do, it's ridiculous. Just make it up. But the best way to approach it, of course, would be you come on and give your position and we'll have someone else. Well, the first thing Jake does is says, why don't we debate you? You're a Zionist. And I'm like, what? I was like, dude, I'm not a Zionist. I don't care for the morality of Israel. I think the U.S. should divest this military funding and we should be focused on America first. And he was insistent, but you're a Zionist and everyone at your company's like, I'm like, most people here are like America first libertarian. And I'm like, Jake, you know Cassandra. She's like hypercritical of Israel all the time. I think we actually do have we don't have any employees that I would describe as Zionist. We have 2 contractors who are probably overt Zionists and proudly stating as such. Out of 40 to 50 employees, most of whom are like, I don't want to fund Israel at all, and Israel can fend for themselves. I don't care. 2 of them are outright like, and I don't even think of the people who are totally Zionist are absolutely saying the U.S. should be funding it either. But this is the conversation we had. We do a show with we invited you to do a show because Jake has been a political commentator on a lot of things. We've praised him for some of his commentary in the past. He says I won't come on unless Nick comes on. I never offered. I don't do booking. I don't know what Cassandra said. I really doubt that's the case. But he wanted Nick Fuentes on. I said, okay, you want Nick Fuentes on? The only way it can happen is if it's a debate. Otherwise, we get banned. Fact. Everybody knows that. Nick knows it. We know it. You know it. Why ask? So we offered up what we thought would be an amazing show. Laura Loomer. We're all friends. I respect her work. I think she's smart. I think she could handle a good debate. She says no. We are all really disappointed. I was even talking to sponsors, and they were like, wow, that would be amazing. And this idea that we sold out, they just want the money. They got the call. Are you nuts? When I talked to some companies and I said, look at this, Nick Fuentes, Jake Shields, Laura Loomer. Most of them are like, Jake, who's Jake Shields? I'm not trying to be disrespectful. Jake Shields is an MMA guy. He's not in that political space. But I was like, Jake's been very active in criticizing Israel with October 7th. Nick Fuentes, of course, you know who he is. Laura Loomer, of course, you know who she is. And it would be a Zionism debate. They were like, this is going to be like 5 million views. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be massive. And I was like, we want to do it. Laura said no. I don't know, whatever, man. People don't have to do shows they don't want to do. We kind of sprung it on her at the last minute, and she's probably like, dude, I'm busy. I'm campaigning. It's like campaign season. I can't do it. And so then you have a handful of other people all refuse to do it. Jake Shields offers up Rabbi Shmuley. And I said to him on the phone, he sends me a text, like, what about this guy? And it's like, I was like, look, man, you do realize that if we do a debate with someone like Shmuley, people are just going to claim that you guys bowed out of a real debate. Because he's more of like he's the guy who put on the weird Candace Owens outfit or whatever. And I'm like, it's not going to be viewed as like a legitimate, battle of wits. And he agreed, at least presumably. So it was like a week ago. He texts me asking like, what's the status or whatever. And I don't know what I'm doing. Look, man, I have probably like 1,000 texts. I get 300 to 400 emails per day. And I can't answer them. My phone's muted completely, no vibration, and I never answer it. That's why I told Jake a month ago, text me every week so it stays in mind. Because we never said no. We were like, we're trying to figure it out. Well, what ends up happening is, I guess he hit me up last week, and then he went to Cassandra. And again, I don't know exactly what Cassandra's saying because I don't do booking. But Cassandra reaches out to me and she asks like, hey, where are we at with this? And I was like, look, if it's not a debate, we'll just get banned. What's the point of doing it? Like, what is their end game? Just to come on the show and get us banned from YouTube? I don't understand. And so my understanding is Cassandra said something to the effect to Jake, like, look, if we just have you on, we'll just get banned. And Jake said, I totally understand. This is being relayed to me. I understand. Maybe I'll come on at some point in the future. And I thought we were cool. Like here we are trying to set up this show. We think it'd be majorly beneficial. And what do they end up doing? Jake goes on Twitter and says, Tim Pool's a joke, a man of no principles. Last month, he told me he would have Fuentes on. And now they're lying about it. Is it a joke? In what reality does it make sense that we ask you to come on the show, you ask to bring Fuentes on, knowing they suspend and ban people for doing so, and then instead of me just saying, like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Nick says, they're playing games. They're playing games. Just have us on or don't. What games, dude? What games and in what reality are you talking about? Like, we're sitting back here going, wahaha, let's waste Nick Fuentes' time. What? It's the stupidest thing in the world. And this is the world that they live in. And so here's where we end up. So Jake starts going off, reposting a bunch of smack talk about me, whining like a little baby that we won't have him on our show. The cringiest, like, he says, and it's his show, he can do what he likes. I just don't like liars or people too cowardly to tell you they changed their mind. It's funny to me how these people who hate Israel so much are like the whingiest crybabies. Like, I gotta tell you, most of these people are like, I don't even want to say beta, because beta males are second in command. They're lieutenants. It's a misconception. They say you're a beta male. And it's just like, look, man, an alpha is the leader of the pack and the betas are the commanders. You want to say like omega male or whatever, a scrawny, pathetic man who like, you know what I mean? But and I mean this sincerely. No other group of people has cried so much and screamed and complained like little babies more than these people. It is absolutely insane. All they want to do is they want to come on and they want to say things like, this is Jake Shields on Twitter. Says, Tim, I never asked to come on your show because I think it's boring. I have at least a dozen emails from 3 separate booking agents of yours, and I told them no every time. Yeah, I don't tell them what to do. They book who they feel like booking. I only agreed to do it with Nick because I want to piss people off and help Nick get back on big shows. And there it is. And then he says, you lie like a Jew. That's what they want to do. They want to come on Timcast IRL, cause problems, piss people off, break things, hurt people. And this is exactly what they're doing now. So let me break things down for you because I got no problem talking about it. I don't care. They're like, Tim's scared to have Nick Fuentes on, blah, blah. Scared, more factual. You have Nick Fuentes on your show, you get banned. That's it. You have Nick Fuentes debate someone on your show, and they don't ban you. That's just it. That's how the game is played. You don't want to do it? Fine. Nobody wants to do it with you. It's because you're a whiny baby. Okay, I'll put it this way. I talked about it. Like, look at what Jake Shields is saying. And I'll show you another tweet from him. I quote tweeted him. You lie like a Jew. That's Jake Shields. He said, Tim, you said I asked to come on your show, which is a flat out lie. Yeah, Jake, I didn't invite you. Okay. My booking agents are reaching out to a bunch of people and you wanted Nick Fuentes on. You asked for us to have Nick Fuentes. You asked. And so I talked to you and you said, I want Nick Fuentes to come on. I said, okay, here's your request. Here's how we can accommodate. And then you started crying like a low-T beta baby bitch on Twitter. Why won't you have me on the show? No. Oh, poor baby. So pathetic. No other group does this. I go to liberals and they tell me to screw off. They don't want to come on the show. They don't cry when we won't have them on. You are the only person who's like, there's one other person who tweeted and that was it. But you just went nuts. Just like pouting and banging on the table, crying, I just wanted to piss people off and bring Fuentes on, but your show's boring anyway. Oh, what a loser. He says, most people in the past 6 months have noticed one group lies more than all the others. You are aware, but you want the money. Like, I don't know, man. Look, these people, this is their game. This is the game they play. This is why people don't want to invite them on shows. And this is why the moment Jake Shields says, bring Nick Fuentes on, we know, like, okay, we know what that means. It means Jake Shields is laughing, thinking, I am going to cause problems on social media. Now I'll tell you the reality. I don't think Jake Shields is literally crying like a little whiny baby bitch. I think this was his plan the whole time. I think he and Nick Fuentes get attention by playing the victim and acting like martyrs. The reason Nick Fuentes is going on his show and going, "Oh, you won't have me on the show," that was the point the whole time. That's it. They don't want to come on the show. They think it's boring. They think it sucks. They don't want to come on the show. They just asked to come on the show and then complained about it later. Well, then how do these pieces come together? I believe Nick Fuentes doesn't want to come on the show. I believe Jake Shields doesn't want to come on the show. I think the whole intention here is to put us in a situation they know we can't accommodate, cause problems so that they can generate attention and act like we did something wrong. And here I was thinking, let's play, baby. You want to bring Nick on the show? We'll do it. Here's how it's done. Unfortunately for them, everyone hates them and nobody wants to come on the show. Nobody. And then he offers up like gag, individuals. And I was like, okay, I'm like, you realize no one's going to take you seriously if you do that. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Then they act like we backed out of it. Okay. Here's the reality of Nick Fuentes. His audience are the biggest crybabies on the internet. Like, look, all the people now posting pictures of me with yarmulkes and me getting my hat pulled off and stuff. I've never seen such whinging. No other group does this. Con Inc. doesn't do it. The Daily Wire fans don't do it. Like, what is this? Trump supporters don't do it. But these people just cry all day. They sit at the computers and they cry. Like, I don't know. And I mean figurative cry. Like they're tweeting up like, why would you have Nick Fuentes on? Debate him. It's like, what is this? What is this whinging? What is this panicked whinging? Man, I swear, two groups of people you drop in the middle of the woods and say survive, that would never do it. It's going to be the woke left and Nick Fuentes' fan base. You put them in the woods, they're going to be like, I have no idea how to live. They're going to sit there and bang on trees, screaming and crying like babies. It's remarkable how much they go on Twitter and cry about it. I tell you this, go look at all the comments. Go look at all the responses. And Jake's like, haha, I ratioed you. It's like, dude, your audience is crying and begging for attention more than any other group. You got people who are successful who go out there every day and they build a platform. Why don't you make your own show, Jake? Why don't you build a show that Nick can go on? Because they're going to ban us. Yeah, because all you do is cry about Jews. And then you live in this crackpot reality where you just think it's true. You took the money. Money from who? We had sponsors that were interested in that show, interested in that debate. Money from who? Our network of members and sponsors? Dude, let me tell you the reality of Nick Fuentes. I'll also shout this to Chris Bertman, who tweeted this where I got the clip. Nick Fuentes was on the show with Ye and he walked off. I don't blame him for that at all. He's working with Ye and Milo. Ye walked off because Ye's also like this is like, look at this. Like Ye could not handle even 28 minutes of a debate. And it wasn't even a debate. He asked me a question. He's like, who is they though? And I was like, corporate press, the establishment, the Uniparty, the military industrial complex. And he got so mad that I wouldn't say the Jews, he stormed off. Only person to ever do that. This is my point. These people are the whiniest babies. They can't handle scrutiny. They can't handle reality. And so I think the intention of people like Fuentes is knowing they can't go on these shows in these circumstances, trying to get banned by saying shocking things like Jake did. Come on, everybody and their mom knows. You go on any social media platform aside from X and say something like you lie like a Jew, and you're going to get banned because of hate speech rules, because of woke left policies. They'll then make an excuse and they'll blame the Jews or whatever. But I'll put it this way. Nick Fuentes' audience intentionally causes drama and crisis for individuals. Nick Fuentes has fans. And I said this on Friday when Elijah Schaefer was here. I don't think these are actually his fans because these are people claiming to be groypers, claiming to be fans of Fuentes, who will threaten to rape and murder children. And I'm like, I really don't think those are Nick's fans. I'm willing to bet those are like leftists who are trying to make Nick look bad. Mary Morgan was on the show and she's like, no, that's ridiculous. And Elijah Schaefer also said, no, that's ridiculous. And then a bunch of people in chat were like, that's absolutely not true. And I'm like, okay, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it really is that Nick Fuentes' fans just want to rape and murder children or just threaten to do so to cause problems for people. Fine. Whatever you think. I don't care. It doesn't make sense to me, but who am I to know? It doesn't make sense to me that someone who claims to be a fan of Nick, who actually wants him to espouse a message, would destroy his opportunity to do so. So here's what I explained. And then they all cry about it. The reason why nobody has Nick on the show, there's two reasons. One, outside of a debate format, you get banned. That's it. There has to be a debate format. That's basically how YouTube operates. And it's not just YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Rumble and X are way better. You can do Rumble and X. So if you want to come on my YouTube live show, then we're like, oh, well, it's got to be a debate. And so we were planning on having them on Culture War. And the funny thing is how excited everybody was for the debate show with Nick Fuentes, Laura Loomer, and Jake Shields. And Lauren didn't want to do it. Okay, no beef. I'm not trying to drag Laura, but I think that if Nick Fuentes wants to come out and act like we did not try to organize this without mentioning we had probably one of the best show ideas imaginable, I don't know what to tell you. But here's the reality. With the degree of threats you get from Fuentes' audience, you have to pay security and you have to pay insurance, and these things cause problems for businesses. That's why I think, it's intentional. It's intentional that they do these things knowing you're between a rock and a hard place. And I think they do it because they actually don't have the ability to actually debate. So I'll put it this way. I take a look at any political faction, the left, and they whinge and they complain on social media all the time, but not demanding people go on your show or whatever. Sometimes, but not as much. And they certainly engage in cancel culture. That's what they do. I think the reason the Groypers do this is that it's a shield for Nick. Now Nick can go on his show and say, oh, you're just scared of being censored. Well, dude, when your fans threaten to rape children, okay? And I'm going to say this again. My argument is it's not really fans of Nick who do this. But take a look at anybody posting DMs, posting emails, and there's people publicly sharing these things on X. I'm like, that's got to be someone faking it, because there's no way Knicks fans. Okay, fine. If the argument is these really are Knicks fans, then it sounds to me like they do this to make sure Nick doesn't actually have to stand up to debate. This way, he gets to be a martyr. He gets to claim he's being censored. He gets to claim that people are playing games with him. Like, what game would there be to play? Why would I be like, I'm gonna call you 2 times and actually ask people to organize a debate and work on sponsorships? What game is being played? It's ridiculous. How about I just say no? They live in this fake world where everyone's playing games with them. Okay, if someone's playing a game, I'll tell you why. It's because these guys sick their followers on you and do this. They go on their show, they cause a storm, and then they try and get you sent a bunch of threats, and then what happens? For anybody who's running a decently large operation with multiple employees, which has security requirements because of insurance, it's going to cost you money. It's lawfare, effectively. And it's a different kind. Nick knows he's small and he's censored. So when he throws a Molotov cocktail at someone's business, the political blowback is minimal for him. And for the business, it's massive. That's lawfare. So when his followers start sending threats and doing these things, and then our insurance company gets angry, I shouldn't say ours, but for like events and things like this, insurance companies take issue with the degree of threats and the security assessment, and then you have to pay for reinforced security, your insurance rates goes up. That doesn't affect him. So typically what happens is they will ignore him. They will just say, you mention the name Fuentes, no dice, because he's fake. That's it. He's fake. I'll tell you this. I don't actually know why Nick even has to get dragged into this. I don't care. Jake Shields is the one who got asked to come on the show, but he asked that he could come with Nick Fuentes. That's what I mean. He asked to come on. I suppose the reality is, if you take a holistic view of what Fuentes is and what he does, and you break it all down, what you see is something that makes no sense at all. Why would his followers send threats to people, berate people, attack them, downvote, thumbs down, all of that stuff? Why would they do that? Unless the intention was to make sure nobody wants to associate with Nick. Then I assume they're not really his fans, right? Well, I'm told I'm wrong. The situation surrounding Nick doesn't make sense at all. His business strategy has no real business strategy. He's not trying to espouse a message. I think he's a shock jock who's found a gullible bunch of morons who will give him money and support him and then tweet a whole bunch of stupid nonsense for no reason because it just props him up. That's it. The ultimate grift. If Nick Fuentes was serious, he wouldn't do the things he did. He wouldn't lie. He wouldn't complain. If Jake Shields was serious, but Jake Shields pointed it out, he's just trying to piss people off. That's what he said. And he hates Jews. Well, okay. So they try to make the claim that me, some dude with a YouTube channel, not even the biggest, is working for Jews. I think what they've found is a group of gullible individuals who are hyper-focused on Jews as their problem, live in bubble world. And so long as Nick can create the perception that he is being oppressed by the Jews, they'll keep giving him money. You know, directly or indirectly. That's my view of it. Because I'll put it this way. If he really wanted to come on shows, he would be doing the opposite of what he was doing. There are many people, I'll give you an example. We had a guest on IRL who was anti-abortion, and he refused to say it. He refused to say he was anti-abortion. He said, it's not helpful. I said, is abortion murder? I said, I don't want to say that. Why? He's playing politics, trying to win a political cause. Do you think that Jake Shields and Nick Fuentes are actually trying to expose Israel or Zionists or Jews? Certainly, this is not the way you'd go about doing it, right? You'd go about doing it in other means, like everyone in the world knows if you go on YouTube and claim, as Jake Shields did, saying things like you lie like a Jew, then you get banned. Well, where is there any positive impact on your message or cause? For what purpose would Jake Shields want to bring on Nick Fuentes knowing that simply saying these things would result in the channel getting banned? In no way would that actively help their cause. All you got to do is answer me that. In what way does that help the cause of exposing a power structure? The reality is it does not. Okay, then what's their real aim? Honestly, I have no idea. But either they're morons or their intent, and I don't think that's the case. Maybe Jake, I don't know. He doesn't seem to know up from down. I know that Nick is a smart guy. So then I have to look at what Nick is doing, and I don't think Nick's stated intentions are genuine, because this is not how you'd go about actually addressing a power dynamic. I can break it down in terms of let's say you're a Native American and you're trying to figure out how to reject the colonialism. What did they do? They built casinos. Did they go to war? No. There's strategy. There's indirect methods of gaining power. And Yellowstone was a great fictionalized depiction of Native American tribe competing with the interests of a white settler who took their land. And then if you look at the prequel show, it was like the family came there and they were like, in 7 generations, the land will be yours. And then it wasn't the case. How do you win a war? Okay, well, if you're someone who's a big fan of Nick Fuentes, you have to ask yourself, at what point are they actually going to try to win? Because imagine you've got a castle, a large castle with a king sitting atop the tower in the center of the castle. And you and 7 of your cohorts with sticks, pointy sticks, are running at the stone walls and poking them while screaming, help, help, we're being repressed. Does that look like you're anywhere near challenging any kind of power structure? No. But there's certainly one guy sitting behind you saying, keep going, you're getting closer. At a certain point, you have to realize you're not. So that's why I think it's fake. I don't think these guys are real. This is the reality of that whole world. It's fake. Now, Donald Trump, he's a guy who's effective. He's not. He doesn't just come out and there's political strategies. I'll give you a really great example. The Supreme Court arguments. I said Trump should be at the oral arguments for presidential immunity, and Trump said nothing about it. He said, "I want to go, but they won't let me go. I want to go, they won't let me go." And I was like, "What? Then go. You look weak." After the oral arguments, then we figured it out. Indirect strategy. Trump's legal team feared that if he showed up to the oral arguments, it would shift the argument from, is the president immune, to, is Donald Trump acting in his official capacity, which wasn't answered. They wanted to make sure that the arguments stayed on focus of the presidential office and not him personally. And by him personally being there, it would create a focus on him being there. It would cause issues with him grimacing, or they'd say, look what he's doing in the courtroom, and it would make him the story. Trump is hoping to win this one for the presidential office, which will benefit him. That's strategy. I respect it. So there's also the Trump going to Barron's graduation. I said he should go anyway. Well, Trump just said, they won't let me go. I guess I can't go. And then they caved. Why? If Barron Trump went to court instead of his graduation and then made a statement, like one of his first, and said, on one of the most important days of my life, my graduation, this court refused to let my father attend, so I will come here instead to support my family because family matters most. That would have been a massive PR blow. There's strategy there. I ask you this. What is the strategy in what they're doing? Well, certainly in terms of their stated political goals, there's none. In terms of generating attention for themselves, acting like martyrs, and building up their cult fan base that are gullible and willing to believe it, it seems to make sense. Now I'll end with this. Long video, huh? The fans of Nick Fuentes will not be swayed by anything I say, and I really don't care. They live in Wally world. They live in this magical fictional world where Israel is the most powerful organization in the history of mankind, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. While certainly disproportionately powerful relative to many other countries, wealthy, and AIPAC certainly is powerful, they seem to forget, like, Saudis are directly implicated in 9/11. Saudi Arabia is being sued over it. The U.S. bends the knee every day to Saudi Arabia because their ability to control the flow of petroleum around the world, which could screw over the petrodollar. And the U.S. has been implicated in the death of over 100,000 Yemeni civilians, including, I think, around that many children. Not to mention the extrajudicial assassination of Abdurrahman al-Awlaki, and the fact that in Dearborn, Michigan, you have female circumcision on the rise, and you have Islamophobia is a bannable offense on social media and has been for 10 years. They ignore all that stuff. They ignore Donald Trump getting impeached for suspending military aid to Ukraine, while when Joe Biden suspends aid to Israel, nothing happens. They ignore the fact that Joe Biden is defying the Israeli government and telling them to stop invading Rafah, and the fact that the U.S. government has been apparently trying to oust the Israeli government and install a new, more favorable government. But it's Israel that controls the United States. They seem to ignore literally every other military conflict, compromise, negotiation, and lobby in the world because they can't see straight. Make of it what you will. There's my addressing the game that is Nick Fuentes, and I will say it very simply as a final thought. The moment Jake said, I'll only come out with Nick Fuentes, I was like, there it is. He's playing games. Nick knows outright. He said it in this video. They won't have me on because they fear getting censored. He knows for a fact. So when he plays this game like, we would like to come on your show, it's like, well, you already know what's going to happen. This is a foregone conclusion. The reason why I said it has to be a debate is that's the only format in which you don't get banned for having them on. That's it. They know that. And then they also knew nobody wanted to debate them. That's the game they're playing because they're lying. Whatever. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.